Hey guys, Pete here, and we've got the second episode of Knife Talks for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about budget EDCs. I'm going to start out by prefacing this. Sorry, I've got a bit of a head cold coming on, so if I sound a bit nasally, sorry about that. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here, guys. The main reason I wanted to do this video for you was I wanted to talk about the philosophy of buying cheap knives for EDC that isn't really hard use. Personally, I work on a farm, I do construction. I need a higher-end knife, or at least I feel as though I need a higher-end knife. I carry a $100 Benchmade Griptilian. Not everyone needs to. Most people don't need to, I'd argue to say. So if you work in an office, if you work from home, if you work somewhere where you don't really need a hard-use knife, maybe all you're doing is opening packages. Maybe all you're doing is opening an envelope occasionally or cutting through some rope, or not even rope, cutting through some twine even. You don't need a $100 knife. What you see in front of you are knives that are anywhere from $3 to like $5 or $6, with a few exceptions off to the side that I'll show you in a minute. But cheap knives, guys, really cheap. I got them all off of a website called Wild Bill Wholesale. In this particular case, these were part of an assisted knife package, so all of these are assisted opening. And basically, they took their top 50 best-selling ones, threw them in a package for $3 a pop, and sold them to you. And they'll do that a lot, and it's a really good website if you want to get into, small scale, selling at flea markets or something like that. But you do find some gems. So I just want to get this out of the way. This is kind of cherry-picked because out of the, we'll say, 50, 60 knives I have from them, these are the cream of the crop. There are plenty, I'd say probably 10 or 15%, that are just shit. They just don't work. Either they don't deploy properly or they don't deploy at all. They're completely unusable to me, and I wouldn't feel comfortable selling them. A bit beyond a blem, like you'd get with some of the Kershaw blems, you can get them for real cheap. They just don't work. So, yes, these are really good quality cheap knives, but not all of them are. Keep that in mind. I'm going to start you guys off with the Luck of the Irish here. You can see it's a themed knife. I'm assuming it's just a sprint run from some company. I'm not sure which, but nice little themed knife. So if you have an Irish friend for St. Paddy's Day you want to get a gift, maybe this is for them. It says Luck of the Irish on the blade. They have blue, red, green, maybe some other colors. I don't remember. Those are the only ones I have anyway. It has a tubed lanyard hole, which is nice. Nice little touch there. The blade, swept back Persian tip. So it's got a nice belly for slicing things. What? I don't know, but you could use it. Tip, yeah, you could certainly get into some packages with it if you needed to. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a usable knife. The scales are nice. I think they're both aluminum, just different colors, not anodized, just painted or brushed on, whatever. But it's nice. It's got a nice heft to it. It feels sturdy. All of these are liner locks, by the way, and I haven't had an issue with any of them, failing on me. But I haven't really used these because I bought these with the intent of reselling them. So they're all relatively mint condition. But I will say that with this model in particular, every one of it and its little friends, I had to loosen the pivot screw and oil the pivot because they just didn't deploy. You would go and they would stop about here, and you'd have to wrench it all the way back. They were just tightened to hell. Whoever was on the pivot station that day was real angry or something. He just tightened the hell out of all the knives. Pocket clip, nothing fancy, not a deep carry or anything, but a little standard pocket clip. That is way too tight, by the way. You can't get this thing open if you tried. It's just way too tight, almost unusable. I don't know if that's ubiquitous throughout, but on mine they are. This nice little bolster kind of thing going on. It just looks nice. It's a good quality knife for $5. I'm pretty happy with it. I want to say it's 1098 surgical steel on that blade, so nothing crazy good, but it'll get the job done, and it'll take an edge fairly easily, which is what you want from a cheaper knife. There you go. So that's that out of the way. Moving into a slightly more, practical knife, perhaps. You got a TAC Force Speedster model. I think this is the same family of knives as the one that I showed in my sharpening tutorial on the Lansky system. It's getting more tactical feel, as the name would imply. It's a stiletto kind of spear point blade. It's very sharp on the tip. The edge itself is relatively sharp, not bad. Aesthetically, it's kind of pleasing. They've got the unpainted, unfinished flats that are just ground down, and then the primary bevels on the swedge and on the cutting edge are painted black, which looks kind of nice. It's a nice little contrast there. It's a big knife, too. I mean, I've got kind of small hands, but it's a beefy knife. I mean, it's pretty solid for $3-5. Handle material, not a darn clue. Feels pretty solid. Maybe just, I don't even know what this is, but it's fairly solid. I don't know if it's metal or plastic, but it's good quality for what it is anyway. Pocket clip, much nicer than the other one. It does have a glass breaker, which is also nice. So you've got, the potential of a vehicle extrication tool there, which is nice. Did not have to do anything to this knife out of the box. Works just fine. Pretty aggressive little flipper there, which is nice to see. It is assisted. So, all around good knife there for the price, absolutely. Down here, this is in the wrong box. This isn't a super knife box. Ooh, fancy. But it is actually MilSpec, I want to say. Yep, it is a MilSpec knife. It is 1065 surgical steel. Nothing crazy there. All of these are either surgical steel or 440 series stainless. So nothing crazy good, but it'll certainly do what you need it to do. Take an edge quickly, hold an edge long enough, I guess. Got a nice belly on it here, partially sharpened swedge. These weird flow-through holes for whatever reason. This is a themed knife. It's a rescue knife, as you can see, and it's themed for the fire department. Doesn't say which, just fire department in general. See if I can get this to focus for you. It's got the little shield on there. They do have them for the police department, for the Navy, for the Army, maybe even for the Air Force. So you can get a nice customized knife. I mean, relatively speaking, if you want to get stocking stuffers at the office or for friends or family, you can get something. If your friend is in the fire department, maybe get him this. It is a rescue knife, so it has some utility to it beyond just the blade. It has a glass breaker. It doesn't feel quite as sharp as the other one, but it's still a hardened glass breaker, and it'll probably work just fine. It does have a seatbelt cutter. I will say, the experience I've had with seatbelt cutters in the past are utter garbage. I don't know if this one is, but every other seatbelt cutter I've ever tested on a knife like this, just utter shit, not sharp enough to actually cut a seatbelt, not sharp enough to actually cut anything for the most part. So I wouldn't trust my life on it. I would use the actual edge. And like I said in my previous episode, guys, keep your knife sharp enough to do what you need it to. If you're carrying this knife as an extrication tool, as a last-ditch rescue knife to get yourself or your passengers out of a vehicle, it better be sharp enough to cut through a seatbelt. So keep that in mind. But a good knife, high quality, very robust, good weight to it. Here we're getting a little more tactical still. So utilitarian, maybe, but it's a karambit. I mean, that hawkbill blade, you can use it to really get in on a package and open her up, but karambits, first and foremost, they're used for self-defense. They're meant to be used against another human being. With that in mind, know that if you carry a folding, spring-assisted karambit, you might run into some trouble with the law. I don't know what your local laws are, and that's for you to figure out, though I'll have another video on where to look. But for the most part, this is going to be frowned upon, even if it's not illegal. You're probably going to be asked to not have it. So keep that in mind. Like with the Luck of the Irish knife, this was hit or miss as far as if it worked or would deploy. This particular knife worked fine, but I have like 5 others in different colors with the rings, and like 2 or 3 of them just didn't deploy, period. And no matter what I did, they just wouldn't. Probably just manufacturing defects. In that same vein, I mean, quality control is not very good. That little stylized wheel is not centered over the pivot, which just looks comical to me. But, whatever. It's got the same kind of blade style as the other one as far as aesthetics. It's got the blacked primary bevel, and the flats are all left unpainted, which it's weird aesthetic, but I kind of like it. It's not bad looking. And it's certainly usable for what it is. I don't know if I would trust my life to it, but I'll bet you could. I have a friend of mine who I sold one of these to not too long ago. He had one of the screws go missing on it. That being said, he said his brother was playing with it, so, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But they're not going to be Loctited in or anything on a $5, $3 knife, guys. So don't get your hopes up is what I'm saying. Like, be pleasantly surprised with what you'll get, but don't, let that lull you into a false sense of security. It is still a cheap knife. Things will go wrong. Things will break. This is not a 10-year knife. This is a 6-month to a year-long knife, and it will do what you ask it to for the most part. So keep that in mind, but it will get the job done. Now, as far as a tactical knife, I don't know if I would trust my life to a $5 knife, but like I said, I'll bet you could with this guy. In that same vein, and taken up a couple degrees, we have this beast. This is $10. This is Mtech USA. Oh, apologies, we got a phone ringing in the background, but can't really deal with that right now. So this is an Mtech USA. This is a $10 knife. It is a fixed blade karambit. It is full tang, 1/4-inch blade stock, so it's a beefy thing, and it's well designed. Now the handle material looks almost like micarta or G10 if you look in there. It's solid, and it looks like, you know, a multi-layered fibrous kind of material. So to me, that's G10 or micarta, though I can't actually confirm that. I couldn't find this exact model online, but I know this used to cost $10. Sheath, hard plastic sheath, nothing fancy. You do have a belt loop here, but you know, nothing crazy. It's not quick detach. You do have a lot of mounting options for whatever kind of pack you're carrying, which is also nice. If you look at the ring here, sturdy, solid steel, as opposed to this, which is layered, which, I mean, it'll work, but it's not very good. This will do some damage if you hit someone with it. This is a tactical knife, plain and simple. This is not for opening packages now. This is for self-defense or offense. And it's kind of a weird field for me because, to me, the only person that needs to carry this is someone, law enforcement or, you know, military operations, something like that. And to me, they're not going to spend $10 on something that they literally need to trust their life with. They're going to spend a bit more and get something they can truly trust, something that isn't 440 steel. I mean, this will get the job done, but it's kind of a weird niche market. I can see, you know, an 18-year-old, you know, carrying this to be cool or something. But tactically speaking, yeah, you know, you could defend your life with this, and I would trust my life with this blade, absolutely, if I had trained with it properly. Now, transitioning out of the tactical field a little bit, you got this guy. This is Fantasy Master. This is a little bit more expensive, maybe 15, 20 bucks, but probably only 15. It does have a sheath, and that sheath does have a belt clip. So, you know, yeah, you can wear it and use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Wooden scales with kind of a flame embellishment, you know, engraving on there. Not done very well. You've got these over-stylized, massive, you know, not really bolsters, but just skulls slapped on and mounted to the side with big bulky hardware. It's made very poorly. It's got a lot of gaps. It's not well finished. But, I mean, heck, it's called Fantasy Master, for crying out loud. It's a display knife. It's not something you'd carry. You can, absolutely you can. It's full tang. It's a karambit. It will work. You can defend your life with this. But I wouldn't recommend it. This is meant as a display knife. It doesn't come with a stand. At least not the one I have, but I have seen them sold with stands. It's meant to go on a mantle. It's meant to go in, you know, your 18-year-old son's bedroom over his bookshelf or something. Not something meant to be carried. But again, I mean, it has a usable sheath. You can if you really wanted to. It's only a fabric sheath, but you can. And the last budget knife I have to show you guys is very in the realm of do not carry this. Big old knuckle dusters here. It does have a seatbelt, or sorry, not a seatbelt cutter. It has a glass breaker on the back. And just don't carry this. It is an option. It's something you might see at a flea market, but you will run into troubles with the law with this. So to wrap this up, guys, I just want to say that these are not my recommendations. I'm not telling you to go out and buy these knives. I'm just saying that you can get cheap knives, $5, $3, and have them do what you need them to do. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. We will have more episodes coming up in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Comment down below what you think about budget knives for EDC and for any purpose, really. Thanks again for watching, guys. As always, keep your knives sharp and your mind sharper, and I'll see you next time.